Over here, and this morning, not this truck stop, but this morning, some guy was pulling out next to me. Not this guy, pulling out next to me. He pulled out, made a left turn, and his overhang swung, catch my mirror, and pulled it forward, and I got a little scratch on the fender here. But this video is about how little fender benders in a truck stop can be avoided, especially pulling in and out of parking spots. So number one is, when you're pulling out of the parking spot, first of all, make sure there's nobody parked ahead of you. That's what the big problem with this situation was. There was a perpendicular truck parked against the curb up there, so he had to swing it tight. Another thing is, what this guy did, you want to pull out, and if you can, make a left, because then you can see on your sight side. You can look behind you and see if you're about to hit the truck next to you when you're swinging out, rather than making a right. So that's another big thing. But the biggest thing here on this accident was the overhang. And the problem with that, a lot of guys, you got your tandems all the way up, and a lot of people like to ride with them all the way up. Well, that's understandable, because it's a little bit easier to maneuver. But see, the problem with that is you got that overhang. I always, when I had tandems, I'd slide them, 4 holes. I mean, if I could, I'd slide them up about 4 holes back, and that usually maneuvers a lot better. But another big thing about tandems that a lot of people don't realize, if you make a tight turn, a tight enough turn, U-turn, eventually your trailer is going to go backwards. And that's where a lot of people make mistakes. And everything I'm talking about here, everything I talk about on my videos are things that I've experienced, I've seen before, and I don't want you guys to have to go through it. So I've seen that with the overhang, but like I said, also just be cognizant of turning out and everything. But another big thing when you're backing into a spot is, you see an open spot, look all the way down the spot, pass it, look all the way down the spot before you back in, because you might be backing in and not know that there's a bobtail parked deep in the spot, and these 2 trucks next to you, next to the spot, are blocking it in. That's a very common thing on a really full truck stop, that real full truck stop late at night. A lot of times, it'd be one spot left, you think, oh man, I'm so lucky. Well, there might be a bobtail back there, and so you don't want to start backing in and accidentally hit them. Oh, it's a really big thing. Try to park in the middle of the parking spot. I didn't do a great job here. You see, I probably have like 2 feet over here, maybe 1 feet over here, but getting perfectly even inside the lines really helps. It helps when you're pulling out. Like I said, with that overhang, you don't want to swing out too close to the truck on the outside of the turn, because that overhang, like I said, would happen today. You might snag the other trailer. But also, so people, when they're backing in, it's a lot easier. They got a lot more room. So park in the middle of the spots. Make sure your tandems are slid somewhere in the middle. If you can get away with that, that'll definitely help. But another thing is, when you're pulling out, if you can, just pull out and swing instead of doing that back and forth thing. That's a big thing. But if you can't, you just, before you make the turn, get out and look and see how close you are to the outside of the turn. But the biggest thing here is probably just prevention. Like I said, being in the middle of the between the lines, and like I said earlier, try not to park alongside the curb in front of a bunch of trucks and everything. It seems like most of these accidents where it's just little fender benders pulling in and out of truck stops can usually always be avoided. Now, it's understandable. Sometimes there's not always enough space to back your truck in, not enough spots, and you got to park where you got to. I totally understand that. But it's not always necessary, and a lot of times people are just being lazy and they don't want to park in spots, me included. But try to avoid it, guys. But like I said, prevention is the biggest key. And I said it again in another video, but it bears repeating. The biggest thing is to stay completely calm whenever you have an accident. This is at 5 in the morning. I was woken up from a dead sleep, and I didn't know if someone was rocking my truck or if it was the thunder or what. But so I was woken up from a dead sleep. I got on the radio. I said, hey, this company, blah, 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 is pulling out right next to me. I think you just hit my truck. Luckily, he had a CB on. Check your dash cam. Try to get a video or a picture of the truck leaving. Because a lot of times I've been in more hit and runs than I have fender benders and truck stops. That's just my experience. So try and get a picture, try and get a video, check your dash cam. That has saved me a bunch of times from hit and runs with my dash cam. My own personal one that I could look at myself, not just my company one. So get a dash cam. That helps. But the biggest thing is to stay calm. I got out, put on my clothes and everything. The guy was pretty nice. And all you got to do, you know, back in the day you had to write down everything. I'd still write down everything. But first, before anything, just take a picture of his truck number, take a picture of his company, DOT number, whatever. Get a picture of his truck, get a picture of the damage, and instead of worrying about writing down everything perfectly, just take a picture of the cab card and take a picture of the insurance with your phone. And at least you got that out of the way. Because when you're in an accident, you're going to be real shook up and everything. But at least you got, you know, that information. And maybe get a picture of the person's driver's license and this and that. But the point is, just take pictures of the paperwork and everything. And that really helps out, taking pictures of the paperwork rather than worrying to have to write everything down. I write everything down also, but first thing I do is take pictures. And then, you know, I don't want this to turn into a video that I've already made. So, but yeah, that's what you do when you get in an accident. Just remain calm and take a bunch of pictures and get all the information. Anyway, that's some ways of preventing a simple fender bender in a truck stop. It happens almost